Welcome back, YouTube, to another episode of Dan's Garage. In this episode, we're going to be doing the spark plugs on your 4th generation 4Runner with the 1GR3 V6 motor. So it shouldn't be too terribly difficult. Mine's going to be a little bit different because I have an aftermarket intake on the passenger side, but this side, regardless, the driver's side, is going to be difficult no matter what you do. So it's just confined spaces and stuff like that. So I'm going to get some better light. I'm going to get some tools out. I'll go over the tools that you need, and I'll go over the spark plugs that I chose. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so we're back. Got some better light. Got the classic trouble light here. I've actually thrown this light across my garage for some sort of project that I was doing. I kind of got a little angry and threw it. This guy's actually going to be due for an oil change pretty soon, so I want to switch out these hoses that go to my catch can. Real quick update on the catch can. In the wintertime, it's perfectly fine to run it. Just be advised, just know, I have to drain mine every couple 100 miles, honestly, because there's just so much condensation and moisture and all that stuff that gets in the engine when it's in the wintertime. That's what it is right now. So, be that as it may, I want to switch out these hoses. They're hard as rocks. I want a hose that's not going to be nearly as hard. It's going to be a little more flexible. So I'll go over that when that time comes. But our prize over here, I'm going to remove this top cover first. Our prize over here is going to be, see those coil packs down in there. Let me get something to point with. These coil packs. 6 of them. 1, 2, 3. That is by far and away the toughest one to get to, just because there's so much other crap in the way. So you want to loosen up those 3 10mm bolts that hold the coil packs on. You want to make sure that you get the clips off of them, the little wire harnesses there, and then pull them up and out of the way. I kind of considered, well, I actually might have to take that. I might have to take that clip off, which is going to be a royal pain in the you-know-what. Maybe I can get my Milwaukee ratchet back there. But I'm going to have to take this clip off back in there to get that coil pack out. This hose is not adjustable at all, so the hose is going to have to come off and come out of the way, I'm pretty sure. Because that's just like right where I need to work. These heater hoses don't make it easy either, to be honest with you, but it's fine. So this clip will come off. It comes off somewhat easily, and then we'll go from there. This is the hardest side, so I like to start with the hardest side first. That way you don't get worn out and start throwing things, because I have a tendency to do that at times. So I'm going to take this hose off, probably with my Milwaukee ratchet, and we'll come back and we'll go from there. Alright, it might be a little hard to see. What I elected to do was take this hose that goes into my catch can and just remove it, because that hose right there is actually, it's so hard from receiving like a couple heat cycles. It's not the hose that's made for this. I got the wrong hose. It's so hard that it will not come off of my PCV valve. So I bent it up out of the way as much as I could. Now I got that coil pack unconnected. What I use to get those bolts pretty good down in there is I use a giant T-handle, get a better view, T-handle, with a small extension that has a swivel extension at the tip. Helps out a lot here, in my opinion. I got in there, I got that 10mm bolt off. Again, like I said, I'm doing the hardest one first because you have the most patience when you're doing the hardest one first. So, what your best friend here, because it's going to be impossible to get your fingers in there to manipulate the clip, is to have two screwdriver method. I can talk. What you want to do, I'll demonstrate it on this little clip right here. You want to push down with one, so I would be pushing down with one hand, this tab right here, And with the other hand, while that's pushing it down, most of the time, the little tab right there is going to come free. And then what you want to do is you want to get your screwdriver in between the body. I can show you a little bit better on this one, actually. So I'd be pushing down on this tab right back there. Hope you can see it. That would release that right there. And then you could see, actually, where somebody's already done this. You get a little bit, you get your screwdriver tip in here, just like that, and you twist, just like that, and then it'll back that clip off. But it's easier said than done. So I'm going to try to get this coil pack up and out of here. I think I could snake it past this tube. I hope I can snake it past the tube. If I can't, then we'll figure it out and go from there. Alrighty, I was able to snake it out past, but only just barely. Again, this problem is unique to me because I have a catch can on my 4Runner. If you don't have a catch can, you won't have to deal with any of this stuff. It'll be still hard because it's super hard to get your hands in there. Still hard, but not nearly as hard. So we'll go from there. I'll pull all 3 of these plugs out, and well, so I think I've gone over it, but I'll quick verbally do it again. You want to get the 10 mil. You want to get the I can talk, man. The 10 millimeter bolt out. Oh man, you guys can't even see that. I'm trying to get the light in a good spot. I'm gonna snake in between this hose, if I can. Get to that 10 millimeter bolt right there. The swivel really helps. You want to back this 10 millimeter bolt off. Give me a second. All right. Came loose. Oh no, it didn't. I wasn't on it. I do not want to round this freaking bolt. Oh, you prick. All right, give me a second, guys. I got to think about this. I don't want to round this thing off. Alrighty, new plan. I already got it out. Well, it's sitting right there, but we went with a 10 millimeter swivel socket. The swivel on my extension wasn't giving me enough swivel, and I was almost rounding this bolt off. Let's take a look at it. You could see where I kind of rounded it off a little bit already. And I already changed the plugs once on this, but I moved the plugs over from my other 4Runner because these plugs, when I got this truck, it had 170,000 miles on it, and it didn't look like the plugs had ever been replaced, as weird as that sounds. It was awful. It was really, really bad. But still kind of driving okay, surprisingly. So I switched the plugs over. I got the same plugs, and I'm going to go over them. I got the same plugs in my old 4Runner, but they're a little long in the tooth now. And personally, I like to have, I don't know, you can tell a lot how an engine is operating based off of how the plug looks. So, every 10,000 miles or so, maybe even less, I'll pull a plug either on this engine, well, on both this engine or my Accord, and just look at it, see how it looks. Does it look like it's wearing normally? Does it look like it's burning oil? Does it look like it's knocking? Plugs can tell you a lot how an engine is operating. So I'm going to put new ones in because, well, I want to. So we're going to get the rest of these off and out, and then I'll go over how to get the spark plugs out and how to put new ones back in. And I'll be back. You know what? I figured you guys would probably want to come along for the ride a little bit, so I'm going to sit you up. Hopefully, just about that I can. So you're falling in my engine bay, aren't you? Oh, man, I really hope you guys can see, but I don't think you can. I really want to bring you down like that, but I think you're going to fall if I do that. I'm going to put something heavy on you. But if I do that, then I know. You guys are gonna. I'm telling you this right now. You guys are going to get knocked down into the engine bay. So that's what's gonna happen. Because I'm just a prophet like that. That's what's gonna happen. I can tell you right now. Anyway, our last prize, our last 10 millimeter bolt. I can barely see. You guys actually have a better view than I do. Make sure you're on nice and good. I love these. I love working with this T-handle. Breaks loose. Back it out. And I'm going to try to show you the screwdriver method that I was talking about. This is the part where you get knocked in there because you're only held up by there's a wrench on the back of the stand holding the camera up. That's the only thing that's keeping you guys from not falling in my engine bay. So I like to get the longest, skinniest one that I got. That's the one that I poke. That's the one that I press down on that, like that. And then the other one is a little bit of a fatter head. That's the one that I use to get in here. Make sure that comes up and loose. Sometimes you're gonna have to hold it and then do that. I don't know if you saw what I just did right there. So I'll make it a little bit clearer here when I can. I could take this plastic cover off. I know I said I was going to. That's just extra stuff, but I'll do it real quick because it's easy. I want to try to keep the camera rolling as much as I can, just because, I don't know, to be honest with you, a lot of times what I find, where the hell is my extension? Oh, it's on the thing that I was just using. A lot of times what I find is when you have how-tos that jump, you know, hey, I'll be back right after this, you know, then you're like, well, how in the hell did you do that? This is easy. If you can't get this cover off with two 10mm acorn nuts, then don't be doing your own spark plugs, please. I don't feel the need to show this. I mean, unless you really want to see it, but it's fine for now. Alrighty. So that opens up a little bit more room for us. Not a ton, but a little bit. Enough to give us a little bit of play. This is the hose that I disconnected. So, well, I disconnected both of the hoses. So, also, real quick, by the way, I don't know if you can see it. Try to bend you. This thing right here. If your 1G RFE, if your V6 ticks, it's this, I believe it's that guy. Yeah, it's that guy. Hold on. I might have to edit this out because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. No, it's that. It's that thing. It's held on there by a bolt on the bottom. It's just, it's normal. Ticking is 100% normal. It has to do with vacuum, purge, and all that crap, I believe. So, anyway, now I'm going to aim you back down. But I just wanted to say that the ticking on these engines is pretty loud, but it's also normal. Sometimes on these older engines, what'll happen is a lot of times, like, these plastics don't like to cooperate because they've seen, you know, 50,000 heat cycles. So try not to F them up too much. I think I got it past, yeah. Okay. Now just use your, back it off like that. I don't know, I like watching the nuts and bolts kind of stuff. That's a short wire. Man, that's gonna be hard to put back in. You know, I have done this job before. Like this is what I was talking about. This is just gonna be in your way. So I'm gonna disconnect it. Now, to be fair, I kind of believe that I'm disconnecting more stuff than I have to, but I'm also trying to give myself the most room that I possibly can. Keep track of which coil plug goes to which. So I'm going to line these up in the order from back to front. It's kind of important later on down the line at all if you wish to do any sort of diagnostic work. Sometimes you could have a coil plug that has gone wrong, and if you switch them up, it's not going to hurt. Like, it's not going to hurt anything, but I just like to put them back where they were. And inspect these guys too. Inspect these guys. So these should be free of oil. There should not be any oil on these things. If you're getting a little bit of oil, like that, there's a little bit of oil on that one right there. If you're getting a little bit of oil on it, it means that you have a bad, there's a bad seal. It's a spark plug tube seal. And you have to pull the valve cover in order to replace it. But there's, I mean, you might not even be able to see it on camera. There's an ever so slight amount on this plug, and there's a tiny bit on that one, and really nothing to speak of on that. But like this whole bottom end area right here, this whole area should not be like absolutely slathered in oil. You can have issues with your ignition system if it's completely slathered in oil. So now we're gonna pull the plugs. I'll show you how to do that, and we'll go from there. Hopefully I can set this up in a place that's helpful. That's not gonna be in the way, but I have a feeling that no matter where I put you, right here, you're gonna be in the way. So that's nice. How about that? Well, you guys are probably just staring at the stupid tube. You know what? I'll get you guys on that shot on that spark plug right there. So do that. All right, we got that plug out, and it looks fine. There's a little bit of oil on the threads, which is something that I did. I put a little bit of oil on the threads because when I first took them out, I was really having trouble getting them out. But usually, I don't condone putting anything on the threads, not even NICs. And I believe I'll just talk about it real quick. I use NGKs for all of my vehicles. It's a whole, I could go off on a rant. Don't use, if you have a Toyota or a Honda or any sort of Japanese vehicle, do not use like an Autolite or Champion or anything like that. These engines are made to go with preferably NGKs. If you can't do NGKs, I know for whatever reason, if you think they're too expensive or whatever, Denso is an OEM manufacturer of spark plugs that's listed for my Accord. But use NGKs. NGK is the end all be all when it comes to spark plugs for particularly Japanese vehicles, but most foreign vehicles from what I understand. So this plug looks fine. It doesn't look that used, believe it or not. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera. It does not look that used. It's used, but this plug probably only has maybe 20 to 25,000 miles on it, and it's an iridium plug. I don't know, I just have a bug up my butt right now about putting new parts on everything. So, and I got them from Rock Auto, not a sponsor, super cheap. They were like, I don't know, $9 a plug. Whereas if you go to like Toyota to try to get, first of all, real quick side note, I know I'm digressing, but they're listing for the OEM for these, they're listing a normal copper-headed or a platinum-headed plug. Those plugs need to be changed out every 30,000 miles or so. On my Accord, they only list laser iridium plugs by NGK. Now, from Honda, these plugs are about $26 a piece, which is absolutely asinine. So I got them off of Rock Auto. They were, I think, $12, $13 off of Rock Auto. The same plugs that were twice as expensive from the dealer, which, yeah, I guess I get it. It's a dealer. What do you expect? But these plugs, these ones were even cheaper. So while they only recommend the platinum-headed or the copper-headed plug for these, there is a part overlap. You could put laser iridium plugs in here, and it'll be perfectly fine. And then you don't have to worry about it for 100,000 miles. So that's what I'm putting in there now. That's what is in there currently right now, but I'm changing it out just because, well, they were in my old engine, and I want new plugs in my new car. So I'm going to show the process of pulling the other plug out, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Make sure you guys aren't going to fall into the engine bay. And we'll look at all of them after and just make sure that everything looks kosher. Make sure everything looks fine. Because it doesn't. Like if you have if one of your plugs looks like super white, there's probably some coolant and stuff getting in there at the end. If it has like a bunch of speckles and sparkles on the end of it, you have pretty bad engine knock going on. So it tells you a lot. The color of it's going to tell you how good or how bad the fuel is burning, if it's too rich or if it's too lean. That's a little too much to get into right here. But what I'm using, my trusty T-handle with an 8-inch extension and a spark plug socket. It's a 5/8 socket and has a little rubber piece in the end of it, so it grips onto the end of the spark plug to pull it out. So I hope you guys can see. I hope it's not super annoying. I'm still saying I'm going to drop you down into the engine bay. That's what's going to happen. So I'm going to have to fish you out with freaking hanger or something like that. These shouldn't be stupid tight because I put them in, but it's acting pretty tight right now. Oh boy, see? I told you. Okay. Now, the reason why NGK recommends that you don't put anything. There it is. Told you. I told you. I'm gonna put you somewhere else. I hope you can see me there. Oh, you're gonna fall over. Oh, boy. Oh, give me a second. Oh, this is embarrassing. You're gonna fall over there. It's fine. The reason why NGK recommends to not put anything on their threads is that they already have a coating on their threads. I believe it's a zinc coating that's supposed to resist corrosion. That's good. This plug looks about the same. It looks about the same. A little bit of oil on those threads, like I said. Nothing too severe. So we're gonna take a look and see actually, because we do say laser reading, but I believe I have a different part number on there. Anyway, well, we're gonna figure it out. Well, they work, so whether there's a different part number on there or not. Oh man, that's super tight. I don't like that feeling. I hate it when spark plugs are that tight. This is one of those things where if you cross thread it, or if you pull out all the threads when you're backing it out, or something along those lines, it's a bad day. It's a really, really, really bad day. And luckily that didn't happen on these at least. There's still 3 more to go. So, while I have it out, I'm going to replace them. And I'm going to go grab the ones that I'm going to be replacing with. These are NGK Laser Iridium. They are ILFR 6T11. They look to be an updated part number, actually. They look to be an updated part number. Let's just compare. Let's see. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I have you rolling right now. All I'm doing right now is looking at it. Would you just look at it, making sure that they look the same? That's cool. So, I'm thinking that either the plugs that I bought these plugs, I believe, like I said, they were in my other engine, but I believe I bought them from O'Reilly's. I think that, not a sponsor. I think that's where I bought them. Either way, they look a little odd. They look like an older style plug. So I'm going to put it in this one first. Nothing on the threads. We go down slow. Do not drop these down into the hole. You can mess up the electrode on the end. And just slowly turn until the threads catch. All right. Do not, preferably while taking them out, but especially while putting them in, do not ever use power tools on this. This is a hand tool job only. The whole thing. I love power tools, don't get me wrong, but okay. So you reach the end. Now the thread gets a little tight. You're crushing that crush washer. Okay, that's good. It's kind of a feel thing. There is a torque spec on it. I could look it up. I should look it up. But this is another one of those things where do as I say, don't do as I do kind of thing. There's a crush washer on the end of these that once the threads stop freely turning, now you're right against that crush washer. Now it's about another turn, maybe turn and a half, until you bottom out. And once you bottom out, you're pretty much done. I snug it up after that. I don't know how much you guys can see, but if I put you in the spot where I want to put you, you're going to fall again. And I really don't feel like trying to fish you out from all the way down there. If you guys fall on my freaking skid pan all the way down there, I'm not going to have a fun time. So you guys are residing on top of the cowl right now. Okay, so right there. Threads have stopped. Now I'm right up against the crush washer. So now it's tough to turn, but you can tell it's definitely turning. So that was about, actually, that was about half a turn. Maybe a little bit more than half a turn. I am going to look up the torque spec on this and give it to you guys, because it's kind of important. But I don't know. At the same time, I feel like I've been doing this long enough. I obviously don't do it professionally, but I feel like I've been doing it long enough to know, have a good feeling for this kind of thing. I don't know how you guys always manage to be in the way. Okay, I'm going to get this one tightened up and I'll come back with a torque spec. Alright, they're all installed. I have not put the coil, the boots on yet. From what I could find, the torque spec for these is 13 foot-pounds. I have a 1/2-inch torque wrench that the lowest it goes is 20. And real quick side note about torque wrenches, they are pretty inaccurate at the extremes of their torque ratings. So at 20 foot-pounds, my torque wrench is going to be super inaccurate. They're most accurate right in the middle of their torque wrench, right in the middle of their torque range. So pretty inaccurate. I'm going to go with the German torque spec, Guten tight. So I'm going to get everything buttoned up, and then we'll move over to the other side. The other side's going to be a heck of a lot easier. I'm looking forward to it. Alrighty, got everything buttoned up. Do a quick look, make sure you did indeed button everything up. I got all the plugs in, they're tight. I have all the coil packs in and secured, and then I have all of those wire harnesses in and secured. I replugged this guy back in. I put that guy back on, and I tightened up that clamp, and I put this back on. Everything looks good to me. I didn't loosen anything else, so I don't have excess parts, and I got all my tools. So let's take a look at these plugs real quick. I'm hoping that you guys can see them without the aid of that light. So this is the order that they came out in. So this is the rearmost plug, the middle, and then the frontmost plug. So what we're looking for is uniformity. So I think I mixed them up. Either way, they're out, so they're fine now. So the little bit of brown on the top, that's normal. That's a normal combustion process. That's perfectly fine. There's a little bit of oil and stuff on them, a little bit of wear and tear. That looks normal. On this guy, you can see there's a little bit of oil, or I'm sorry, not oil, a little bit of brown on top, not as much, but it appears to be wearing at a similar level, if not pretty darn close. And then the last plug here, again, same story, a little bit of brownness at the top. That's normal combustion wear. That's perfectly fine. You want to look at, because it's that white part in the middle where that electrode sits, that is porcelain. Sometimes that can crack off and get inside your engine. That's not pretty good. It's very rare that it happens, but you want to look at that. If there's any sort of like metal deposit or speckles around the lip of it on the electrode itself, that's how you know you have pretty good engine knock going on. You could tell if it's, like I said, I could go into it, but it's kind of, all I'm trying to do is do an 80,000 foot flyover. So these plugs were listed on Rock Auto's site. They are indeed NGKs. They are for this, but it's like a different style or level or whatever. What I was talking about real quick was this crush washer. This is a crush washer. It is a one-time use. So theoretically, when I take them out every 10,000 miles to see how the engine's operating, technically I should be replacing the whole plug because these don't come off of here. But in my experience, what I've found is that it's perfectly fine. It seals up just fine. But you want to turn the plug in until it bottoms out on this washer right here, this thing. And then it's only about a half turn to maybe a full turn before this bottoms out and is nice and tight. Once this bottoms out nice and tight, that's it. You don't need to tighten it up anymore. 13 foot-pounds is not a lot of foot-pounds. So we're going to go over to the other side. I'm going to bring all my tools over. We're going to go over to the other side, and I will show you how much easier the other side is, even with the stock intake in there. So give me a second. All right. Look at this side. Look at how wide open this side is. There's a country mile of space in here to work in. It's so easy. I can get so much light in here. I mean, that is why, like I said, that is why you do the other side first, so that when you come over here and you're already frustrated because you did the other side, now you don't have to be nearly as frustrated because look how much easier you have it now. So same sort of process. We're going to take all these 10mm bolts that hold down the coils, and we are going to take them off, and it's pretty much rinse and repeat. I don't feel the need to go over this side. This side is a lot easier when you have your stock intake in there. It's even easier with this aftermarket because it's completely open. But even without with the stock intake, it's super easy over here. Always do the hard side first if you can, which in this case is the driver's side. So I will be back probably with closing remarks after I'm done. And we're back. This side came together, buttoned up super easy. Everything is back together. The bolts that held on the, I don't even know if you can see. Where's my phone? Sorry. The bolts that held on the coil plugs are a little rusty, so I cleaned them up on the wire wheel. Other than that, everything went really good. So the plugs that I had in there were, where are they? They were this one. They were the Iridium IX spark plug. That was the part number for them. But the ones that I got were the laser Iridium plugs. I don't know. I do not know the main difference between them. What I do know is that the ones that I put in there should be better. They should hold up a longer. And they're the best of the top of the line that currently NGK makes, from what I know. So they should last a good long while. And I'm just happy that I have new plugs in here now. So that was how you install spark plugs on pretty much any vehicle, but specifically to the 4Runner. Yeah, so it's pretty easy. Just do the hard side first, and you're going to like your life a heck of a lot better. It's tempting to do the easy side first because you want to feel like you're getting a lot done. But just do the hard side first, and you'll be good. I'm going to start it up, let it run, make sure everything looks good, and we'll go from there. So we are going to close the hood on this job. All right, guys, have a good one.